Hi, and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be what sold for June 11th through 17th. Let's get started. The first thing we sold was on Poshmark. It was a men's red, white, and blue patriotic tank top from the brand Ocean Current. We got this out of a storage unit that we purchased. We paid just 23 cents per listing out of that unit. I think this was from the $30 unit that we paid, $30 in total for the whole unit. It was mostly filled with clothes, but there were a few other items in there. This item sold for $8 plus shipping on Poshmark, and it sold through best offer, and we got positive feedback on that. The rest of the sales of non-card items, which we'll talk about at the end of the video, are eBay sales. So everything coming up is eBay. Next up was a vintage 15-inch Knickerbocker brown plush Animals of Distinction teddy bear. I found this at a garage sale. And I showed up to this garage sale at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't know if they opened late or people just didn't know about the sale, but there was still so much good vintage stuff left. And they were really ready to get rid of it. Like, I don't think they wanted to be open the next day. And so they were giving me stuff for dirt cheap. And I got a whole bunch of good vintage stuff. I just happened to be driving by the sale when I was running another errand, so I didn't have my camera on. But I found a lot of good vintage stuff, including this teddy bear, which I got for 50 cents, and it sold really quickly for $26.98. Next up was a J. Crew women's small navy tiered eyelet lace popover dress. We got this at the garage sale where we got all of the really great J. Crew clothing that was all like practically brand new. We paid just $2 for this dress, and it sold for its full asking price of $52.99. We did get positive feedback on this. Next up was a vintage pair of women's Justin Roper boots. These belong to one of our family members who gifted them to us to sell, so we had no cost, and these sold on best offer for $42 even. Next up was a pair of the Saltwater Kids sandals. These were the original white style. We did have a shoe sale this particular month, so we're offering a discount on these shoes, and these sold through that. We had paid $9.09 per pair of shoes that we had purchased. We still have lots left, but we have really been selling a lot this summer. This pair sold for $36.54. Next up was a lot of two Lowe's Build and Grow kids building set kits. This one had the Game Show chip drop, which I guess is like Plinko from The Price is Right, and the Coin Bank. We got these at the Goodwill bins, but we got them at different times, 2 different trips to the Goodwill bins, and our cost on these in our spreadsheet says it was $2.83. And these sold for our full asking price of $18.99. They did take quite a while to sell. Probably not something I would pick up again. Next up is something I definitely would pick up again. This is a be on the lookout. This was an America's Story 1 student and teachers books, master books curriculum. This is textbooks that are specifically designed for homeschooling. Usually anything I can find that's specifically designed for homeschooling or even that can be used for homeschooling, that is usually a pickup if you can find it at the right price. I got these at an estate sale for $5 and they sold really quickly for $47 even on best offer. We got positive feedback on that. Next up was a really good purchase. This came out of that box of tracks and trains and vehicles that I got from a garage sale. I think I paid $5 in total for the whole box, and this is the same box that we got all of those Hot Wheels tracks out of that sold for hundreds of dollars. So this was a really, really good buy. This is what I was buying the box for, was all of the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff. But all the Hot Wheels stuff sold first, and this is the first Thomas the Tank Engine item that we sold. This was a Thomas & Friends wooden double-wide old iron bridge clickety-clack train track. This we paid just 50 cents for. There's so much stuff in that box. When we broke down our cost of goods, I had it in the spreadsheet at like some of the stuff 25 cents a piece, some of the stuff 50 cents a piece. So cheap. This bridge sold for $55.98 on offer to buyer. Next up was one of the Build-A-Bear workshop outfits. That was another killer deal. We got that whole big bin of Build-A-Bear clothes at that garage sale. That has also been a major moneymaker for us. This one was a really cute blue scuba snorkel outfit. It had the little snorkel, it had the mask, it had the fins, it had everything. Made for a really cute outfit. We paid $1 a piece for each of the outfits from that bin, and this one sold for $23.98 on offer to buyer. Next up was one of the Maker's Mark bandanas that we got out of the Goodwill bins. We got a big bag stuffed full of brand new Maker's Mark bandanas. Just one listing, quantity, so easy, and we've been selling these practically one a week. This one sold for $9.99, which was our full asking price, and we had broken down our cost on these for $1.18 each that day. We got positive feedback on this one. Next up was a Cricut matte black smart iron-on heat transfer vinyl. It was new in the box, but the box did have a tear on it, so we disclosed that. We got this at a garage sale for just $1, and it sold very, very quickly for $15 even on best offer. We got positive feedback on that one. Next up was a 2013 Pillow Pets Dreamlight, and this one was a Hello Kitty. It did have like a very faint stain on the face, which we disclosed. We tested it and it worked. We got this at a garage sale for $1, and it sold for $25 even on best offer. Pillow Pets are always a big seller for us. We hardly ever keep them in stock. I wasn't so sure about this Dreamlight because we'd never sold a Dreamlight before, but this one sold super fast too. It also had the Hello Kitty thing going for it, so those were two positives. Next up was an authentic pop socket, brand new in the package. This was a mount that you could mount your phone, your pop socket part of your phone onto, like stick it on the wall or, you know, on a shelf or something like that, and then you could just hang your phone on it. So we got this in the Goodwill bins for $1.03, and it sold immediately. It was the first thing that we sold from that trip for $9.58. Next up was a vintage VHS of, I guess by nature a VHS would be vintage, but it was a VHS by Raquel Welch called Raquel Total Beauty and Fitness. And this sold super fast. If we ever see this one again, we will pick it up. We don't pick up tons of vintage exercise VHS, but this one sold so fast. My husband just had a feeling about it, and he was right. This one we paid 13 cents for, and it sold very, very quickly for our full asking price of $22.99. Next up was a vintage 4-inch rubber Kewpie doll. It had a handmade crochet dress on it, and it was stamped that it was made in Korea. This was inside of a thrift store toy bag that we got. We picked up the toy bag for something else entirely, but this was in there. We had broken down our cost per item on that bag at just 19 cents. And this doll sold for $14.38 on offer to buyer. Next up was a genuine OEM 9-volt AC power adapter for a Sony Discman. We got this at an estate sale. We paid $1.08 for it. I don't remember exactly what estate sale we got this at. If I'm remembering correctly, if it's the estate sale I'm thinking it is, I think this was the one that was the realtor run estate sale where we got some really, really good deals. But I don't remember specifically picking this up, so I'm not sure. But it did sell for our full asking price of $18.99, and we will pick up just random power adapters if they are branded and if they have like a clear model number on them. We can look them up. Some of them will sell for really high. I mean, $18.99 is a really good price on something. If somebody is looking for a power adapter for a specific vintage item, a lot of times when you do a search for that item, you get like an off-brand or replacement item that's not the branded item. So if you have like an original power cord that is OEM, your item will sell for a higher price than one of the off-brand items. Next up was 3 vintage 12 packs. They were 2 different brands, Noma and Jewel Light, and they were permanent rust proof outdoor light clips. They were like kind of mid-century age, probably from the 50s or 60s. I got 1 pack at an estate sale and 2 packs at a garage sale. Lotted them all together and sold them for $12.99, which was a best offer, and I had paid $1 in total for all of those. Next up was one of the Knitting Board Zippy Loom Project pattern books. We got a big bunch of these also at the Goodwill bins, just another quantity listing. These have not sold as fast as the Maker's Mark bandanas, but this has also been a good money maker for us. These we paid 61 cents a piece for, and this one sold for $8 even on best offer, and we got positive feedback on that. At this time, I'd like to pause for a moment and invite you to subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed. It's the #1 thing that you can do to support our channel and lets eBay know that this is good content that they should push to other people, and we really would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's move on. Okay, the next thing we sold was from another big box bulk lot that we purchased that ended up being an excellent purchase, and this was from that box of maps that we got at the vintage garage sale. We had paid just $5 for a box stuffed full of so many maps and travel ephemera. This was a 1938 New Orleans, Louisiana city map. It did have some damage, so you'll see in the title where we put the word read, and we disclosed that. We had broken down our cost per item from that box at just 9 cents. And this map sold for $19.99. That was our full asking price. We've probably sold like a dozen or more maps at this point, so that box has made us plenty of money. That was a good investment. We still have so many maps to sell. Next up was a vintage Hollywood Regency gold metal mesh tissue box cover. This was a mid-century modern piece. We got this at an estate sale when they had, it was like the 4th day and everything was 75% off. So we had paid $1.08 for this, and it sold on best offer for $20 even. I did not comp it at the estate sale, and I probably should have because the market was really saturated on these. It did not have a great sell-through, and it did take a while to sell. And we didn't make tons on it, but you know, we got it for so cheap. Also, it was really cool looking. I was almost like, you know, if it doesn't sell, we'll probably just keep it. But we did make a profit on it, but not something I would probably pick up again unless it had multiple pieces of the set, the bathroom set that maybe would go with it and make more of an attractive listing. Next up was a James Bama print. If you've watched any of our videos in the past, you know that we have sold lots of James Bama prints. Some of his prints sell for several $100s. We have sold a couple of his prints for, you know, around $700. So this is an artist you want to be on the lookout for. If you see any of his prints, they are definitely worth picking up. This one was one of the lower value ones, but still a really good sale. This one was the signed and numbered print at a mountain man wedding. We had no cost associated with it because this is old stock from another business that we own. That business no longer sells art, so we acquired all of that old stock and are now selling it on eBay. This piece sold for $168.29, which was our full asking price minus a promotional discount we were running this month, and we got positive feedback on that. Next up was 2 250 count yellow numbered raffle tickets. They were new in the package. We found these in the Goodwill bins. We paid 67 cents for them, and they sold for $8 even. Not a good pickup, not something we would pick up again, and just, I mean, we made a little bit of profit on them, but not much. Next up was a CoverGirl 3-pack of Makeup Masters Foam Double Tip Eyeshadow Applicators. We got these at the Goodwill bins. I picked them up because I noticed they had a really good sell-through rate and they were selling super fast. So even though there wasn't a lot of profit in them, I could tell that they would sell super fast and that they were sought after. I think maybe they're discontinued or they're just hard to find. I don't know what it is about these, but they did fly off our shelf. I think this was the second thing to sell from that trip. We had paid $1.03 for these at the Goodwill bins that day, and we sold them for $8 even on best offer. Next up was a vintage 2 3/4 inch gold tone and rhinestone ornate Christian cross. It was a brooch. It was a really pretty brooch. We had gotten this at a garage sale. I was actually surprised it took as long as it did to sell. But brooches are great because they don't take up any space, so I'm always happy to pick them up, and if they're long tail, that's fine. We paid just 50 cents for this at a garage sale, and this one sold for $25 even on best offer, and we got positive feedback from this buyer. Nice positive feedback. Next up was one of my old shirts. This is just something I didn't wear anymore, so I decided to sell it. The brand was Vikabo. It was just something I got off Amazon, like not a real brand, like, you know, an Amazon type brand. This was a women's small, lightweight, sheer ivory, high-low hem knit top. It was a really cute top, but I just didn't really wear it anymore. So I, wore it for a long time. I don't know how much I paid for it. And it sold for $10.38. I was just trying to, make a couple bucks on it instead of donating it. And we got positive feedback on it. Next up was a vintage 5-inch hexagonal ornate gold framed botanical print by the artist J.L. Provost. We found this in the Goodwill bins. We paid just $1.03 for it, and it sold very quickly for $22 even on best offer. I've always said oval, round, any kind of unusual shaped vintage picture frame is worth picking up. And especially the real small ones. Those are easy to ship, easy to list. Those fly out the door for us. Those are a definite pickup. Next up was a 2008 Homey minifig. This one was Series 11 Dos Equis extra extra large PVC black and gray figure. This one was really hard to find. I put in the title, super rare, very hard to find. But these are, very, very teeny tiny little figures. They're just not worth tons. But if you can find like a big lot of homies, sometimes those can sell for a lot, but we only had a couple of them, so we just listed them individually. This one sold for $12 even on best offer. We had found this in one of the storage units that we purchased, so our per item cost was just 28 cents. Next up was one of the Build-A-Bear outfits. This one was the Hawaiian shirt, khaki shorts, and the safari hat. It says read in the title because the safari hat had some cracks in it on the brim. So we did disclose that. We got this at the garage sale for just $1, and this one sold for $18.68 on offer to buyer. Next up was a 12-piece lot of vintage 1986 skip bow cards. They were all number 2 cards. We had gotten these at the Goodwill bins. We purchased a box of skip bow, and we thought it was complete, but it was actually not complete. Not only was it not complete, but it also managed to have extra cards. So I don't know exactly how that happened, but we just decided that we would part it out. This is only the second lot of vintage skip bow cards that we've sold, so probably not something you would want to part out, but we already have the listings up and they're not taking up any space, so we'll probably just leave them listed for a very, very long time. I mean, they would probably have to be up for like 5 or 6 years before I was like, let's just get rid of these, because we have sold 2, so eventually somebody's maybe going to come to eBay looking for those skip bow cards, and we'll be the one that has them. So we had gotten these at the Goodwill bins. We'd broken our cost of goods that day at 92 cents each, and these sold for $7.98 on offer to buyer. Next up was a pair of the saltwater shoes. These were the Silver Sweetheart style. We had paid $9.09 per pair, and these sold for $36.54, which was our full asking price minus the shoe discount we were running this month. Next up was 2 purple and green beaded segment 9-foot adjustable jump ropes, and they had storage bags with them. We got these from someone through the Nextdoor app who had a big bag of kid items. It was like craft items and all kinds of just different kids items in it, and they were just giving it away for free. This is, I think, the second item that we've sold from that bag, so we had no cost associated with it. These sold for our full asking price of $13.99. Next up was a Best Buy adult small embroidered uniform shirt. We got this in one of the storage auction units. We paid just 24 cents for it, and it sold for $13.58 on offer to buyer. Anytime we find a uniform shirt, if we can get it for the right price, we pick it up and list it, unless it is a police officer, any kind of law enforcement or anything like that. Do not list any kind of uniform or badge or anything like that, because people can use that to impersonate a law enforcement officer, and that will get taken down on eBay immediately, and you can risk your account with something like that. So only non-law enforcement uniforms can get listed. But obviously Best Buy is not law enforcement, so we listed this one. This one didn't sell for tons, but you never know what somebody needs it for. Maybe this seemed like maybe an older Best Buy style, but they might have worked at Best Buy and wanted to have it for nostalgic reasons, or maybe they were buying it for a movie prop. I mean, you never know what somebody's going to use a vintage or older style Best Buy uniform shirt for. Who knows? Next up was a program from a local theater here in our area called Casa Manana, and it was from the show A Ride with Bob. We had no cost with this because it was something that we personally owned, and this sold for our full asking price of $12.99. Next up was a Kodak Easy Share digital photo thermal printer dock. We did not have the power cord that went with it, and so we had no way to test it. We didn't know if it worked, so I included that in the title. Actually, anytime I can include as much info in the title about the defect as possible, I do. If not, I make sure to put read, and then I include that information in the item description and the condition details. But this one, I said no power cord as is. We got this at a garage sale for $5. We did not realize when we purchased it that it didn't have the power cord, but we still managed to make a profit. We sold it for our full asking price of $29.99. We didn't make a lot of profit on it. I think we made like $5, but we kind of turned lemons into lemonade on that one. Next up was one of the J. Crew shirts from the J. Crew sale. This one was a women's size 10 black layered cami and button-up lace blouse. It was a set. We paid just $2 for this, and this one sold for an offer to buyer of $25.58. Next up was an Aflac duck, and this is the first Aflac duck we've ever sold, but I had heard before that some Aflac ducks are collectibles, so when my husband saw this in the Goodwill bins, I was like, yeah, grab that. I think some Aflac ducks are collectible. And this one wasn't worth a lot, but it sold very, very fast. This one was an 6-inch white and aqua plush stuffed NCAA basketball talking duck. It worked. You squeezed him and he quacked. We paid $1.03 for him, and he sold very quickly for offer to buyer of $13.48. So if you ever see an Aflac duck and you want to sell something that's going to sell fast, pick it up. I think some of them might be worth money, but don't quote me on that. I have not researched them enough to know, but I think I've heard that. Last up was a really good sale. This was a Boss Audio Systems motorcycle Bluetooth speaker system. It was brand new in the box. We got it at a garage sale for $40, and it sold for a best offer of $138 even. And last, I'm going to go over all of the collectible cards from my husband's personal collection. First up, I'll go over all of the high value cards, meaning cards valued at $10 or over. This week, we sold 2 high value cards. The first one was a Magic the Gathering Legends card. It was called Gosta Dirk, maybe? Not sure. But that one sold on auction for $13.10. Next up was a Magic the Gathering Unlimited card. This one was called Sinkhole. We've actually sold several sinkholes, and we sold this one for our full asking price of $24.99. I think we still have lots of sinkholes to sell, so we'll probably get another one listed here soon. And last up, I will go over all of the low value cards that we sold this week. This week we sold 3 cards for a total dollar value of $18.79. 2 of those cards were sold on Mercari, and 1 of those cards was sold on eBay. We definitely had a much better week this week than we did the previous week, but sales are still not fantastic for us. We are definitely in the heart of summer slowdown right now. But let's go over the totals for the week of June 11th through 17th. We had 43 sales for an average sale price of $28.47. I really like to have our average sale price be above 30, so that we want to bring that number up a little bit. Our total sales in dollars was $1,224.40, and that made for a net profit of $715.68. And we calculate net profit after we take out all of eBay fees, our cost of goods, and shipping. And then that's the number that we're left with is our net profit. But we also have to, at the end of the year, take out taxes. So we still have to, retain some of that for taxes. But that's the net profit that we're left with after all of those expenses. So, that's a pretty good week. But my goal would be to have a net profit of around $1,000 every week. But we are not always lucky enough to sell that much. And definitely in the last couple weeks, we have not sold anywhere close to that. So hopefully we can get our sales to pick up back up. We have been listing like crazy. And we've been listing some really good items, so hopefully our sales will pick back up and we will see a reflection on our sales based on what we're listing, but that remains to be seen. So stay tuned to find out what happens. And if you enjoyed this video, please let us know by clicking that like button. And more importantly, if you're not already subscribed, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you wouldn't mind, share this video out to people who you think might like it. That also really helps us. And check out some of our links in the description box below. Well, thank you so much again for joining, and we will catch you guys on the flip side.